We're back, people, and today we got another mock draft for the Miami Dolphins 2.0 version. Mock draft Mondays, we're going to keep this going every single week. Last week did, go through BPA, taking all of the players that are best player available on my board. I thought the draft worked out pretty nicely. I know some people had some problems with it, but that's just kind of like, this is a free agency mock draft, so like the needs are going to change by the time the draft rolls around anyway. So like that's why I like to do BPA. I think it's also just the best philosophy. People had some problems with certain picks. I'm going to try to mix it up though. Like I'm still going to go BPA, but I don't want to go with the exact same player. So I'm going to, resume this draft, just kind of see how this plays out. Okay, I think this is a pretty, I'm not going to go for trades. This is a pretty, not too crazy. Warren's gone, so, took him last time. I'm not going to take him this time. Genty at the top of the draft, like he's probably my best player available, but this is like one of the places where I wouldn't go BPA. Like I go BPA like 99% of the time, and then there's that time where like positional value matters and need matters, and like I like a lot of these other players enough to where like I'm not mad. Like if Genty was like way above the rest of these guys, then I would feel a certain way. Like, but let's go position by position. They're not going to go QB. Running back, we talked about. Genty's the only option. I think receiver, I don't necessarily see them going here. I could see them being very interested in someone like Emeka Egbuka, but I think those are more like trade back targets if they want to go receiver. No tight ends. Warren's off the table. Then you get to offensive linemen. Really, you can only take tackle. Now, I know people want O-line really bad. I just have a feeling the Dolphins are going to target O-line in free agency, and there's very little scenarios in my mind, and I also just think from the Dolphins' perspective, where O-line is best player available at 13. So, like, I wouldn't be, like, I just feel like other positions are going to have a higher priority. But here, for sure, like, I'm going to have Membo over Banks. So, like, for me, the O-line that would be considered here at 13 is Membo. So, he's someone to look out for here. I have Banks a little bit lower. I just, like Membo's fit better for Miami. I think he plays with more consistency right now in the film, too. I think balance was a big problem for Banks' film. But going to defense, like I actually think defense has a decent chance of being picked. One, you got Will Johnson on the board. Dolphins just released Kendall Fuller. Corner becomes a huge need. I think Jalen Walker is another player the Dolphins will really, really like. D tackle, I think Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant are guys the Dolphins will consider. I just want to go through guys who I think the Dolphins will be considering. Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant, you want an explosive, powerful 3-tech. Walter Nolan has some of the highest upside. He's a high upside talent. He has like some of the highest upside in this whole class. The guy out of Ole Miss, like he just needs to put it together consistently. That's why he's not my guy here. But he is someone that I think they will consider. Kenneth Grant, kind of the opposite. Guy's listed at 6'3", 342. Should not be able to move like he does at that size. I think he's someone Miami would consider, and I wouldn't be mad if they took him. Edge, I wouldn't be surprised if they're considering Stewart, but I'm not taking him at 13 either. Walker, linebacker, Johnson. They've drawn no safeties. I actually think, here I'm pretty sure Starks went off the board. I actually don't think the Dolphins, from what I've seen from people who have connections around the league, it seems like Starks is falling. And the more I watch Starks' film, I think he's a little bit of a later first-round player, and positional value matters. Like, I don't think he played as well this year. I think that might bump him down. But another player I want to talk about, I'm not going to take him here, but I think he's going to be heavily considered, and I like him just as much as Will Johnson, is Jahdae Barron. They have him listed as a safety. He's more of a corner that can play everywhere. He can play outside corner. He can play nickel. I've seen him play dime linebacker, safety. I've seen him literally align wherever, and he's like the perfect scheme fit for Miami's system. So don't be surprised if Barron ends up being a player that they really, really like. But I think in this scenario, it would be between Will Johnson, Jalen Walker, Armand Membo, and then Jahdae Barron. That would be like my 4 that I'm heavily considering here. I think I'm going to go Will Johnson this time. Corner is definitely a need. It was a need. It was not as much of a need when you had Fuller, but now it becomes even a bigger need. It could be a position they shore up in free agency and maybe you don't go after it, but he's one of the best player availables here. I'm just going to go Will Johnson this time. He's listed at 6'2", 202. Definitely has like the instincts. Very aggressive player. Sometimes he'll get beat on double moves, but he makes up for it with he has multiple pick sixes. Very exciting player to watch. Definitely more of a zone and off-man corner. But Will Johnson, very good player. I kind of want to see how the mock drafts play out if I take a corner in the first, because I haven't been doing that as much. So we'll see how this kind of falls going into your second round pick. And of course, oh man, people are gonna be so mad at this mock draft. Because Jody Barron, the guy I was just considering taking at 13, is now here at 48. Like, how do I not take Jade? Let's see who's available at O-line. Is that tackle? Yeah, all the tackles are wiped out that I would consider. Even the ones that could play guard. And the guards are wiped out. See, if the board falls like this, like, I can't go O-line. Like, I know that's why you might go. But these, it's not like this, these mock draft simulators are always very accurate anyways. Like, they're like Marcus Bowe, Gray Zabel, Wyatt Millum, like, they're all gone. I think they're like Donovan Jackson. I think there's a chance, like, one of those guys will for sure be here at 48 and like a more realistic mock draft, because a lot of these players that are at the top, like Jody Barron, won't be here. I could see Hampton being gone. I think like Azaruku would be gone. I'm about to piss people off. But I'm about to make the secondary go from a weakness to a huge strength, because Will Johnson, Jade Barron, and Jalen Ramsey. And I think the thing with Barron and Ramsey is you can play them anywhere in the secondary. So it's not like this is a reach of that spot, but as I said, I'm going BPA. This isn't just a 1-year fix-it type of thing for this team. I think that's where the Dolphins can go wrong, is if they just try to do 1-year Band-Aids. So as I said, like, he's clearly BPA for me. I wouldn't double up at corner, but he's the clear BPA, so I got to go for him. People are going to be pissed about that. They're pissed about the last mock draft. But is what it is. I got to hope, free agency takes care of some needs. That's why you want to be good going into free agency, so you can go into your draft just being able to take BPA. Now you get here. Some interesting choices. TJ Sanders, Gunnar Helm, that would fix up either D-line or the tight end issue, because those are both needs. I think I'm going to go, because O-line doesn't look very good here either. I think I would rather just wait. I took Charles Grant last time, but I'm going to wait there, because I still think you can get value from Grant potentially later. I'm going to go with TJ Sanders, because I think that's just better value. Explosive 3 tech from South Carolina. Guy can get after it, really create some. Like, he's a guy that really is a disruptor into the backfield. A little lighter, but I've seen him show some really good reps just getting after it. I think Gunnar Helm now picks up some value. Like, these are, like, I know it might not be the positions everyone wanted, but those are 4 guys that I think come in and instantly make an impact for Miami and are involved. Now, there you take Gunnar Helm, and then you could have, potentially gone somewhere else, and then Terrence Ferguson falls to you at the next pick. I just have him rated a little bit higher. So now that we're here at 135, I think you go Charles Grant, because then is where you get an O-lineman that I think could be actually pretty valuable. That's why I'm hoping you get your starters in free agency, because Grant, I think, could be a potential tackle and guard, and I think he has some of the highest upside in this class for an offensive line. William and Mary, probably one of the best scheme fits from an athletic standpoint. So, guys, super, super athletic, man. Like, his reach blocking potential is insane. So, and then when you're at this point, you're just trying to get guys who you can see be potential difference makers. Now you're at this point. Who have we taken? We've taken Will Johnson, Jody Barron, TJ Sanders, Gunnar Helm, Charles Grant. I'm here. I'm not taking running back. I'm not taking Gabriel. I don't think that's where we should be going. I already took 2 secondary. I'm going to go JJ Pegues. I'm a big fan of the Ole Miss kid. 6'2", 323, former tight end. I have a video coming out of him soon, film breakdown. He's a former tight end that lines up at edge a lot at 323, and he has insane reps where he hits a cross chop. This guy scored 7 touchdowns as a wildcat back. He can potentially be a short yardage goal line person for you, because he's really comfortable with the ball in his hands, and he's literally built 6'2", 323. He's doing some crazy athletic things out there. I think he's a valuable weapon that can also somehow make a difference for you on the offense side of the ball. And then you get to pick again. Let's go look here. Not looking for QB. Running back potential here, Damian Martinez. That's a maybe. Receiver, I think all the good receiver value is kind of gone at this point. We're kind of not going after receiver here. And then we get another guy that can make a difference. Miles Frazier, the guard from LSU. He's a guy that probably should go earlier, and you get a guy that I think has the ability to be an early backup and be a part of the rotation. And like you need depth there because the Dolphins have had so many injuries. And I think he's a guy that is very good in pass protection, very good at picking up twists and stunts. I think he's very comfortable pulling as a run blocker. There's some things I think he could do better, but that's kind of why he falls this spot. I think you get some decent value with Frazier. I think they have him rated pretty low. But don't be surprised if guards end up dropping farther than most people end up expecting. And then we'll see how. Yeah, where the Dolphins have like 3 7th-round picks, so we're kind of waiting to get there. We can look at what our picks are. We just got there, so we got 2 corners, 2 D tackles, an O lineman, a tight end, and a guard. People are gonna be mad that we didn't get the O lineman early. But sometimes that's how the draft plays out. That's why free agency is so important to get those holes filled, so you can go into the draft because, like, if Jody Barron, who I don't think will be there at 48, by the way, I think this is unrealistic. Like you have to take him. I think they would be dumb not to, even if you went corner in the first round. That's why it's like, hey, it would have been better if we were able to go at another position in the first round sometimes, but sometimes you don't know how it's going to fall. You're trying to predict these things. And now you get here and your best possible spot is also another corner. But to be fair, Barron can play like safety and nickel, so it's not like they're only the exact same position, but can't wait to hear people's thoughts on that. QB, I'm going to maybe take QB with the last pick. Already got tight end, tackle, Carson Vincent, maybe. Any guards? No, Lampkin's gone. That's kind of who I was considering. Any edges here? Some potential edges that I think could be solid late. I haven't watched all of these players. We haven't gone after linebackers. Let's go Cody Simon from Ohio State, because I think he could be a potential developmental linebacker, which would be solid. And then safety, we didn't really go after a pure safety, so I think getting Craig Whitson, I really like him out of Cal. I think he's like one of the more well-rounded safety prospects that I watched. So he's a nice name to get there, I think. He didn't have any really elite traits, but he was pretty solid. And then here we can go either receiver. We didn't get receiver, running back, or quarterback. So we kind of ignored a lot of the, offensive weapon positions, which is fine. The Dolphins have enough weapons to get by, at least, compared to most of their other spots. I don't see any linemen for depth that I like. Tight end, we're good. I like LaJohntay Wester, but he's another small receiver that kind of just would blend into that group. Some of their decent bodies. Maybe we go running back. There's some good names here, actually. Some decent ones down the board. Oh my god. Maybe they just go Jackson because he's 6'2", 225, could give you potential, running back goal line carries or short yardage stuff. So this is the full on draft right there. Will Johnson, Jody Barron. I know people will be upset about that. TJ Sanders, but like this is a good value draft. I actually probably prefer the first one, but this is just what we're going with. You get some exciting players. This is still overall a way to improve your team that people will be mad about, and I know they'll be mad about. Oh my god, Dolphins fans hate drafting corners for some reason. It's because the Dolphins haven't had success drafting the last couple corners with Cam Smith and Noah Igbenogany. So they get mad when you draft corners, even if it ends up being a good player. They're still mad about it. It doesn't matter. Even though corner is a premium position and one of the most important things on the team. And it was kind of a weakness of the defense last year at times. There was definitely a stretch where I don't think the corner room was playing necessarily very good. But you would be able to upgrade this, and you would have a very nice duo for years to come. And it would also give you a lot of flexibility in your secondary to move Ramsey around to play multiple different spots. Gunnar Helm makes an instant impact as your wide tight end. This is what you get from missing out on Warren. You get a guy that can still play in line. Completely different player from John Newsom that helps. TJ Sanders, you get a guy that would be probably a starter, depending on who you signed in free agency, but a guy that would start for you. Charles Grant, Miles Frazier, good depth options. Same with Pegues, nice rotational piece. And then your 7th rounders are all guys that I think could potentially make the roster for Miami. So if you're new, make sure to comment and subscribe to the